NGO Bureau as an indigenous NGO on the 22nd day of January 2019 under file number MIA/NB/2018/09/1640 with its founder members as Mr. Chirumira Bryan and Mr. Sebalu Moses. It was registered to operate countrywide with its headquarters in Kampala. Bryan White Foundation is also incorporated with Uganda Registration Services Bureau. The stated objectives of the organization are empowering and looking after abandoned children, orphans, widows, and street children, promoting their education, rehabilitation, care, good standards of living, improving the economic, social welfare of internally displaced people, and involving youth in activities which can help them become self-reliant. The NGO Bureau has been actively monitoring the operations of Bryan White Foundation alongside other NGOs. In addition to its routine monitoring, the NGO Bureau also received a letter on the 26th day of May this year, 2020, from the Vice Chairperson, Committee on Human Rights, Parliament of Uganda, raising concern about one of the founder members of Bryan White Foundation, Mr. Chirumira Bryan. The Committee on Human Rights also sought to establish more information about Bryan White Foundation regarding its purpose, founders, and when it was registered. Following the concern and in exercise of its mandate, the NGO Bureau proceeded to undertake investigations into the operations of the organization, which have established the following so far. Number one, upon founding and registering Bryan White Foundation with the NGO Bureau, Mr. Chirumira Bryan continued to act solely in the organization, thus creating a one-man show organization due to the founder-member syndrome. Whereas Bryan White Foundation has a valid permit of operation, it did not validate, and it has neither updated its status nor notified the NGO Bureau on anything regarding its operations. At the time of registration, the application of Bryan White Foundation had clear objectives and target beneficiaries. However, there is no evidence of any beneficiaries of the organization. There are no formal systems and structures in the organization, hence it is operating in contravention of its internal governance documents. Bryan White Foundation is a member-based organization, but there is no evidence of a members register. The Articles of Association provide for an annual general meeting of the organization as the supreme decision-making organ and a board of directors appointed by the AGM. However, there is no evidence of the existence of any of these organs. Bryan White Foundation documents show that Mr. Chirumira Bryan is the executive director of the organization. With the absence of structures like the AGM and board of directors, the position of executive director held by Mr. Chirumira Bryan is null and void, and hence an absolute nullity. Much as the file of Bryan White Foundation at the NGO Bureau shows that the physical address of the organization is in Musaja Lumbwa Road, Rubaga Road in Rubaga Division, the organization has no office in the stated location. Upon visiting the purported site, the NGO Bureau found no offices except for a banner hanging in front of an incomplete building still under construction. In accordance with the Anti-Money Laundering Act of 2013 and its regulations, Bryan White Foundation should have registered as an accountable person with Financial Intelligence Authority after registering with the NGO Bureau. However, Bryan White Foundation is not registered as an accountable person with Financial Intelligence Authority. There have been no significant transactions in the bank account of the organization, save for a one-off case where one of the founders, Mr. Chirumira Bryan, deposited and withdrew Uganda shillings 10 million only. The organization has no clear sources of funding and unclear channels of financial transactions. The organization has not filed any audited accounts and annual reports, hence there is no evidence of its activities. Much as the organization received recommendation letters from different entities, there is no memorandum of understanding between Bryan White Foundation and the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development and other stakeholders. There is also no evidence of cooperation with district authorities. After establishing all the above facts regarding the operations of Bryan White Foundation, in accordance to Sections 7, Section 29, subsection 4A, Section 33, subsection 1A, and Section 32, subsection 2 of the NGO Act, the NGO Bureau wrote to the organization on the 22nd day of July 2020 to show cause within a 30 days period why its permit should not be revoked and its certificate cancelled. However, to date, there has been no response from the organization. It is clear from the foregoing that Bryan White Foundation is a one-man show organization and a sham registered with a possible hidden motive rather than for the stated objectives at registration. Based on these findings and failure by the organization to respond to the notice to show cause, the NGO Bureau has taken the decision to, 1, revoke the permit of operation of Bryan White Foundation, and secondly, to cancel the certificate of registration of Bryan White Foundation. Therefore, the existence of Bryan White Foundation as an organization recognized by the NGO Bureau ceases with immediate effect. The other concerns raised against Mr. Chirumira Bryan as an individual will be handled by the appropriate organs, since there is a distinction between the alleged criminal actions of Mr. Chirumira Bryan as an individual and the legally registered Bryan White Foundation. The NGO Bureau shall also move to request other agencies, like Uganda Registration Services Bureau, to dissolve Bryan White Foundation, which is incorporated as a company limited by guarantee, Financial Intelligence Authority, and the Uganda Police Force, to thoroughly investigate the other matters concerning Mr. Chirumira Bryan. Ladies and gentlemen, the cases of the above organizations bring to light a number of issues about the operations of NGOs in the country, some of which are the following. Number 1, there are NGOs that have continued to operate outside the provisions of the NGO Act 2016 and other relevant laws. Secondly, many NGOs are run as if they are property of the founders, with total disregard for their own internal governance documents, structures, systems, and national laws. Thirdly, a number of NGOs have to date not yet updated their status with the NGO Bureau and are therefore operating illegally. NGOs are required to avail information to the NGO Bureau about a range of issues, such as furnishing the NGO Bureau with annual reports, audited books of accounts, sources of funds and its purpose, targeted beneficiaries, notifying the regulator about the changes in their registered offices and areas of operation, signing of MOUs with the districts in their areas of operation, etc. Unfortunately, we know there are those which are not doing so. While the contribution of the genuine organizations is recognized and appreciated, the NGO Bureau requests all NGOs to ensure that they are operating within the ambit of the law and relevant regulations governing their operations. The NGO Bureau regularly publishes the updated National NGO Register, comprising of the valid NGOs permitted to operate in Uganda. The updated National Register is uploaded weekly, that is on every Monday, on the Ministry of Internal Affairs website, and can be accessed through a link, www.mia.go.ug/resource/downloads. All stakeholders and the general public are hereby requested to desist from engaging with NGOs that do not appear in the updated National NGO Register and are therefore operating illegally. Signed, Okello Stephen, Executive Director. I thank you very much.